What if I told you there's a coffee chain in America that makes more money per location than Starbucks? Not a little more, a lot more. $2.1 million in revenue. Per location, per year. In a building the size of a two-car garage. The brand is called Dutch Brouwers, and unless you live in the western United States, there's a good chance you've never heard of it. Dutch Brouwers was started by two broke dairy farmers who had never tasted espresso in their lives. One of them died before the company made its first billion, and the franchise opportunity that could make you $240,000 a year in profit, you can't buy it. Doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter how experienced you are. The most profitable coffee franchise in America is completely closed to the public, and has been for years. Today we're breaking down the full story. Where Dutch Brouwers came from, how it beats Starbucks on every metric that matters, and the real numbers behind what it means to be an operator of this brand. Stay with me. 1992. Grants Pass, Oregon. A small town in the American interior where everybody knows everybody, and nobody knows what espresso is. Dane and Travis Boersma are brothers, sons and grandsons of dairy farmers. Their family had been raising cattle for 3 generations, but in 1992, market pressures and regulations forced the family to sell the herd. The farm was gone. With $12,000 in their pockets, everything they had, the two brothers went looking for a new start. The idea, a small espresso cart outside the local post office. One small detail, neither of them had ever tasted espresso before. They learned from local experts, built their own recipes, and opened for business. Grants Pass had never seen a coffee drive-through, but the lines started forming before they even opened the window. The formula was simple: great coffee, fast service, loud music, and customer interactions that felt like you were talking to a friend. In less than a decade, the cart became stores. Stores became a chain. The chain spread across 7 states. But before we get into the numbers, and the numbers are wild, there's a moment in the Dutch Brouwers story that nearly ended everything, not once, twice. But before the tragedy, understand what made Dutch Brouwers different from everything else on the market. Starbucks sold sophistication. Dutch Bros sold energy. While Starbucks had you waiting 10 minutes to get your name spelled wrong on a cup, Dutch Bros had a standing goal. No car waits more than 45 seconds. The employees, called broistas, were trained to memorize names, to remember your usual order, to ask about your dog, your job, your weekend plans. The brand built its own culture, branded merch, custom playlists, community events. Customers weren't consumers, they were part of a tribe, and it worked. In every new city Dutch Bros entered, the drive-through line was wrapping around the block on opening day. But scaling fast with a strong culture requires one thing: total control over who runs your stores. And that's where Dane and Travis made a decision that shapes this entire video and makes Dutch Bros one of the most unique franchise cases in the world. But we'll get to that in a moment. 2004, Dutch Bros now has dozens of locations. The brand is growing fast, and then the central warehouse catches fire. The beans, the roasters, the office, the records, everything they had built for over a decade, gone. But what happened next was something Dane and Travis never expected. The entire community showed up to help. Customers, suppliers, employees, people who barely knew the brothers came to help rebuild. That was the moment Dane understood something. The company wasn't the roasters. It wasn't the beans. It was the relationships they had built with people. They rebuilt and kept growing. But in 2005, tragedy came back. And this time, there was no way out. Dane was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, a disease that progressively paralyzes the entire body while keeping the mind completely intact. In February 2006, Dane went on a ventilator. He was confined to his home from that point on. In 2009, Dane Boersma died at 55 years old, surrounded by his family. Travis communicated with his brother in those final moments. Dane couldn't speak, but he smiled. One smile said 1,000 words, Travis said afterward. Travis kept going. Alone, and he created Drink One for Dane, an annual campaign that has raised over $10 million for ALS research to this day. This story isn't a marketing detail. It explains Dutch Brouwer's culture better than any training manual or operations guide ever could. Now here's where the numbers start to fall apart. Dutch Brouwers today has 1,136 locations across 25 states. In 2025, the company generated $1.6 billion in revenue and grew nearly 28% in a single year, 19 consecutive years of same-store sales growth. But the most impressive number isn't the total, it's the average per location. Each Dutch Brouwers location generates an average of $2.1 million per year in revenue. For reference, Starbucks generates $1.8 million per unit. Dutch Bros outperforms Starbucks in revenue per store in locations that average under 950 square feet. There's no kitchen, no seating area. It's basically a window, an espresso machine, and a team of extremely enthusiastic people. And the goal for 2029 is to nearly double the current size. 2,029 locations. $2 billion in revenue targeted for 2026. Now that you understand the scale of the business, let's talk about why you probably can't be part of it. Because here's the part nobody tells you when you look up Dutch Bros online. If you search Dutch Bros franchise on Google today, you'll find plenty of sites trying to explain how to open one. The problem is, you can't. The Dutch Bros franchise program is closed to outside applicants. This isn't a temporary pause. It's a deliberate strategy the company has maintained for years. If you're not already inside the system, there is no path in. So how does it work from the inside? Dutch Bros has a 6-step internal progression that begins with a position called broista, basically the person making coffee at the drive-through window. From there, you move through a multi-year internal track until you reach the level of regional operator. The average wait time to become an operator, over 7 years inside the company. Today, there are 400 operator candidates waiting in line. And to give you a sense of the culture that creates this, Dutch Bros receives over 400,000 job applications per year for 11,000 broista positions. People line up to start from zero at a coffee drive-through chain, hoping that someday, maybe, they'll become operators. Why does Dutch Bros do this? Because the culture is the product, and culture doesn't survive when you hand control of your stores to outsiders. It's the smartest strategy nobody is copying, and it's exactly why every Dutch Bros location still feels like the first one. But then, how much does an operator actually take home at the end of the month? We did the math. For those already inside the system, the opening costs look like this. Franchise fee, $30,000. Total investment, $150,000 to $500,000. You need at least $500,000 in net worth and between $150,000 and $250,000 in liquid capital. For outside candidates, on the rare occasions when the program was open, total investment ranged from $543,000 to over $1.3 million. Now, what does an operator actually earn? With an AUV of $2.1 million and an estimated operating margin of 12%, an operator can generate around $240,000 in EBITDA per year. Market estimates put typical net profit between $150,000 and $250,000 annually. Payback period, 3 to 5 years. For comparison, McDonald's requires $1 to $2.2 million in investment. Chick-fil-A, arguably the most profitable in the sector, charges just $10,000, but you don't own the operation. You're essentially an employee of their model. Dutch Bros sits in an intelligent middle ground, accessible investment for insiders, solid returns, and you're a true owner of your operation. The challenge is getting there. So what's the Dutch Bros plan, or for the next few years? The company is targeting 2,029 locations by 2029, nearly doubling its current size in under 4 years. The expansion is moving east into parts of the United States where the brand is still virtually unknown and where the market potential is enormous. The company is also testing a food program in over 160 locations with a 4% sales uplift. If it scales, it fundamentally changes the revenue model. Revenue target for 2026, $2 billion. And Wall Street analysts are paying attention. 19 consecutive years of growth isn't an accident. It's a system. Two farmers, penniless and without coffee, opened a cart in front of the post office. One of them died before reaching his first billion. The other persevered and turned it into a $1.6 billion company. The most profitable coffee franchise in the United States is not for sale. And paradoxically, that's exactly what makes it so profitable. If you've made it this far, you already know more about Dutch Bros than 99% of people. Tell me in the comments. Would you open a franchise like this if you could? Or do you prefer a different business model? In the next video, we'll analyze another company that grew from nothing and created a model that competitors can't copy. Don't miss it.